Hello everybody, welcome back. So in between videos, I spent about 10 minutes or so creating this environment here, and I want to stress before we really get started that good terrains take time. You really don't want to rush the process. The best kinds of terrains are the ones that you deliberately have a that you that you deliberately work on, you deliberately iterate upon, you deliberately go back and make little changes to again and again. The best terrains are the ones that you spend time on, and not the ones that you rush to completion. But for the purposes of this demo, I made a basic environment. It's kind of a valley with some mountain areas to explore. So you know for the purposes of a demo, this is okay. But for the stuff that you make, you really want to ensure that you spend time creating your environments very deliberately. So let's properly get into it. This video, we're going to be focusing on textures. As with most things that we're going to be doing, we're going to be taking advantage of the asset store to create our to implement our textures. So let's find some textures. I actually already went ahead and opened the asset store in between videos, and I found something called outdoor ground textures, which seems pretty good. We can click on it and get some more details. I mean, this stuff looks pretty good. It'd probably be a good idea to download more than one texture pack, but for the purposes of this demo, it's okay if we just download one. But when you work on your own stuff, it's a good idea to download multiple texture packs to work with, free ideally. In this case, I'm going to take this. So I'm going to add this to my assets. I'm going to accept. I'm going to open in Unity. That should bring back a Unity editor, outdoor ground textures, the Windows package manager that we discussed in a previous video. We're going to download this real quick. Okay, it is done downloading. I also already clicked import and brought it into the project itself. So let's go back to the project. Let's close this up. Let's see. Here we go. ADG textures. I'm going to put this in my asset store folder. This terrain data, I am going to rename real quick so I can organize. This is Valley. I'm going to put this in my terrain data. Every time you create a terrain, it generates a terrain data file here that you can just store away on the side. Don't delete it, or otherwise it'll mess up the terrain. I'm just keeping it on the side here just so I don't accidentally mess with it in any way. Okay, so asset store, ADG textures, ground. What kind of textures do we have here? That's pretty good. Actually, these are the only textures I should have in my project, so it's very easy to just go to my materials and just see the kinds of stuff that we have here. Ground 2, ground 3. Let's change this to plains. Nice, tileable. Very important to have good tileable textures for outdoor terrain like what we're building here. Yeah, these look pretty good. Cool. All right. So let's actually apply this to the terrain, and we do this in a very specific way when it comes to terrain. We click on terrain in the hierarchy. We go over to... where is it? I believe it needs to be under paint texture, right? Yes. Under paint texture, finally, messing with this, we can go to edit terrain layers. We can create a layer. And now we can select a texture that we like. So, I don't know. This is a valley, so let's go with something like... Let's go with basic grass. Let's just see what this looks like. I double click it to accept, and there we go. Very difficult to tell from very far away, but if we look from our camera preview, if we zoom in, we can see that the grass is now that the entire terrain is now comprised of that grass texture that we selected. There we go. Easy as that, and because it is tileable, it looks good from anywhere. It makes sense to make a ground like this tileable because it's just so easy to apply to everything. All right. Let's see. And next thing, that we can do is go back to our terrain, because this looks good, but if we click on the terrain layers here under paint texture, this layer that we just created with our grass texture, we can see that we can apply normal maps and mask maps. And if we actually go into our asset store here, let me go back to the terrain, let me lock that in. Going back to our asset store here, this is ground, what was this? Ground 6 diffuse. Okay. Ground 6, yeah, we can see that this actually has a normal map included, a normal map target file. So we can actually put this into the normal map box here to give it a little bit more more texture, a little bit more bump to the grass, to make it a little bit more realistic. And we can increase the normal scale if we want, if we really want to sharpen it up. But I mean, there's no reason to sharpen it up that much. We can go the opposite direction and really sharpen it up in the negative scale. But for now, I think 1 is fine. 1.1 probably okay. That looks good. All right. That looks good. Let's see. We can also play with the smoothness and tiling settings here. So let's see. We can smooth it out. Looks pretty good. Again, the higher the smoothness, the shinier and more reflective the surface is going to be, and the lower the smoothness, the less reflective it'll be. There shouldn't be that much reflection, but there should be a little bit from the sunlight, perhaps. Just a smidge for something more interesting like that. Metallic, grass isn't metallic, but if you wanted to make it metallic, or you were working with textures that, were metallic by nature, you can play around with this. And of course, the tiling settings, we can play around with this as well. Same with the offset. But for now, there's no reason to really do that, since we just have this one easily tileable texture. So there's no reason to mess with that too much. The last thing that I want to do is add more layers, because I mean, this grass is fine, but it doesn't make sense for the entire terrain, considering we have all these little mountainous areas here. So let's actually go ahead and add another layer. And to do that, it's very easy. Once again, under the paint texture, we just go to edit terrain layer. We just go to add layer. And this time, or do I have to just keep creating layers, perhaps? I guess I just have to keep creating layers. I thought it was a add layer. I knew it used to be that way, but I guess not anymore. Okay. Well, whatever. We went ahead and just added the layer. So how do we actually apply this this second layer to the terrain here? Well, very simply, we can just paint. Once again, we have control of the brush here. We can make it smaller. We can play around with the opacity as well. We can go to a mountainous area that I want to apply this paint towards. And we can just start applying it. There we go. You can play around with the smoothness again. I don't want to make it that shiny, but there should be some light reflecting off it. You can see how it blends with the grass. Create a nice nice blend effect between grass and rock. We can make it harder by just playing around with which brush we're actually using. But for now, I'm okay with this nice softer brush here. Probably lower the smoothness a little bit. Probably too high. I wonder if there's anything better. This is actually better. Well, I don't know, better, but let's go ahead and create another layer. And we're going to use ground 10 this time and add that in. Ground 10. There we go. Now on that layer, and I'm going to go here to my starting area where Chevolo guy is. I'm gonna start painting some different stuff around him. That's interesting. Maybe I can paint it over here. Probably looks better over here. This kind of texture here. And then we can put the rock there. Just have it blend. Again, I want to stress that the best kinds of terrains take time to create. Don't expect your first attempt to look amazing, or your first attempt to be your final product. The best kinds of terrain take time to put together. Let's make another one. Why not? What does this look like? This looks pretty good. That's interesting. Let's go ahead and create another layer. Ground 9. What does that look like up close? That's interesting. All right. Well, with the magic of editing, I am going to cut to when I am reasonably happy with my scene. So I'll see you in just a second. All right, quick cut, and here we go. This is the terrain that I made. Made some minor adjustments, added a lot more layers, as you'll see from my paint texture here. I added plenty more layers. I got some more stuff from the asset store too. Again, I'm gonna stress to end this video that good terrains take time. Don't expect to be done quick. Don't expect to, if you want to make a good terrain, expect it to take a while. There are tools that will help you in the asset store. If I find any, I'll be sure to put them on the Moodle for you. But, you know, when it comes to terrains, you really want to take the time to properly bring them to life, because it's not going to be as simple as just, you know, very quickly painting something with the sculpt tools and then plastering on terrain and then you're done. Terrains take time, they take consideration, they take trial and error, they take iteration, they take you going back to the drawing board, maybe starting all over again. Terrains take time. The good terrains take time. So don't expect to be done quick. Don't expect to don't expect it to be one and done. If you want to make a good terrain, it takes time to do so. As with any artistic endeavor, it takes time to bring something to life. But for now, this is the basic terrain I did. You saw how I did it with the paint texture tool. You saw how I brought stuff in from the asset store, how I created layers. Next time, we're going to populate our terrain with trees and grass. So until then, hope this helped.